Hey guys, last week we were talking about Jack Will's perspective and how he viewed August and everything that was going on. And then he ended up punching Julian, and then he was suspended, and now he's coming back from winter break. So if you're following along, we're on page 168, back from winter break. Despite what Tushman said, there was no clean slate when I went back to school in January. In fact, things were totally weird from the second I got into my locker in the morning. I'm next to Amos, who's always been a pretty straight up kid, and I was like, "Yo, what up?" And he basically just nodded a half hello, closed his locker door, and left. I was like, okay, that was bizarre. And then I said, "Hey, what up?" to Henry, who didn't even bother half smiling but just looked away. Okay, so something's up. Dissed by 2 people in less than 5 minutes. Not that anyone's counting. I thought I'd try one more time with Tristan, and boom, same thing. He actually looked nervous, like he was afraid of talking to me. Like, I've got a form of the plague now, is what I thought. This is Julian's payback. And that's pretty much how it went all morning. Nobody talked to me. Not true. The girls were totally normal with me, and August talked to me, of course. And actually, I have to say both Maxes said hello, which made me feel kind of bad for never ever hanging out with them in 5 years I've been in their classes. I hoped lunch would be better, but it wasn't. I sat down at my usual table with Luca and Isaiah, and I guess I thought since they weren't in the super popular group, but were kind of middle of the road jock kids, that I'd be safe with them. But they barely nodded when I said hello. Then, when our table was called, they got their lunches and never came back. I saw them find a table way over at the end of the cafeteria. They were at Julian's table, but they were near him. Sorry, they weren't at Julian's table, but they were near him. Like on the fringe of popularity. So anyway, I've been ditched. I knew I was table switching with something that happened in the 5th grade, but I never thought it would happen to me. It felt really awful being at that table by myself. I felt like everyone was watching me. It also made me feel like I had no friends. I decided to skip lunch and go read in the library. The war. It was Charlotte who had the inside scoop on why everyone was dissing me. I found a note inside my locker at the end of the day. "Meet me in room 301 right after school. Come by yourself, Charlotte." She was already inside the room when I walked in. "Sup," I said. "Hey," she said. She was over to the door, looked left and right, then closed the door and locked it from the inside. Then she turned to face me and started biting her nail as she talked. "Look, I feel bad about what's going on. I just wanted to tell you what I know. Promise you won't tell anyone?" "I talked to you?" "Promise." "So Julian had this huge holiday party over winter break," she said. "I mean huge. My sister's friend and I had her Sweet 16 at the same place last year. There were like 200 people there, so I mean, it's a huge place." Yeah, and well, pretty much everybody in the whole grade was there." "Not everyone," I joked. "Right, not everybody, duh. But like even parents were there, like my parents were there. Julian's mom is the vice president of the school board, right? So she knows a lot of people. Anyway, so basically what happened at the party was that Julian went around telling everyone that you punched him because you had emotional problems." "What?" "And that none of it would have happened in the first place if Tushman hadn't forced you to be friends with Augie. He said his mom thinks that you, quote unquote, snapped under the pressure." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "No one bought that, right?" I said. She shrugged. "That's not even the point. The point is he's really popular. And my mom heard that his mom is actually pushing the school to review Augie's application to Beecher." "Can she do that?" "It's about Beecher not being an inclusion school. That's a type of school that mixes normal kids with special needs." "That's just stupid. Augie doesn't have special needs." "Yeah, but she's saying that if the school is changing the way they usually do things in some ways." "But they're not changing anything." "Yeah, they did. Didn't you notice they changed the theme of the New Year art show? In past years, 5th graders painted self-portraits. But this year, they made us do this ridiculous self-portraits as animals, remember?" "No big freaking deal." "So big freaking deal. I know. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying that's what she's saying." I know. This is just so messed up." "I know. Anyway, Julian said he thinks being friends with Augie is bringing you down, and that for your own good you need to stop hanging out with him so much. And if you start losing all your friends, it'll be like a big wake-up call. So basically, for your own good, he's going to stop being your friend completely. Newsflash, I stopped being his friend completely first. Yeah, but he's convinced all the boys to stop being your friend for your own good. That's why nobody's talking to you. You're talking to me. Yeah, well, this is more of a boy thing, she explained. The girls are staying neutral, except Savannah's group, because they're going out with Julian's group. But to everybody else, this is really a boy war. I nodded. She tilted her head to one side and pouted like she felt sorry for me. Is it okay that I told you all this, she said. Yeah, of course. I don't care who talks to me or not, I lied. This is all just so dumb. She nodded. Hey, does Augie know any of this? Of course not. At least not from me. And Summer? I don't think so. Look, I better go. Just so you know, my mom thinks Julian's mom is a total idiot. She said she thinks people like her are more concerned about what other kids' class pictures look like than doing the right thing. You heard about the photoshopping, right? Yeah, that was just sick. Totally, she answered, nodding. Anyway, I better go. I just wanted you to know what was up and stuff. Thanks, Charlotte. I'll let you know if I hear anything else, she said. Before she went out, she looked left and right outside the door to make sure no one saw her leaving. I guess even though she was neutral, she didn't want to be seen with me. Switching tables. Actually, let's just stop there for right now and just talk about this. Have you guys ever been in a situation to where people weren't talking to you and you didn't know what was going on and it was really confusing? Because right now, that's exactly where Jack Will is. So he made some decisions about, standing up for what's right, being August's friend, and it's really costing them a lot. Popularity, friendships, but sometimes when you do the right thing, it's going to cost. So think about if you've ever been in a situation like that as you're reading and following along with me. Okay, on page 174. The next day at lunch, stupid me, I sat down at the table with Tristan, Nino, and Pablo. I thought maybe they were safe because they weren't really considered popular. But they weren't even out there playing D&D at recess either. They were sort of in-betweens, and at first I thought I scored because they were basically too nice to not acknowledge my presence when I walked over to the table. They all said, hey, though I could tell they looked at each other. But then the same thing happened that happened yesterday. Our lunch table was called, they got their food, and they headed toward a new table on the other side of the cafeteria. Unfortunately, Miss G, who was the lunch teacher that day, saw what happened and chased after them. That's not allowed, boys, she scolded them loudly. This is not that kind of school. You get right back to your table. Oh, great. Like that was going to help. Before they could be forced to sit back down at the table, I got up with my tray and walked away really fast. I could hear Miss G call my name, but I pretended not to hear and just kept walking on the other side of the cafeteria behind the lunch counter. Sit with us, Jack. It was Summer. She and August were sitting at their table and they were both waving me over. Why I didn't sit with August the first day of school? Okay, I'm a total hypocrite, I know. The very first day of school, I remember seeing August in the cafeteria. Everybody was looking at him, talking about him. Back then, no one was used to his face or even knew that he was coming to Beecher. So it was a total shocker for a lot of people to see him there on the first day of school. Most kids were even afraid to get near him. So when I saw him going into the cafeteria ahead of me, I knew he'd have no one to sit with. But I just couldn't bring myself to sit with him. I've been hanging out with him all morning long because we had so many classes together, and I guess I was just kind of wanting a little normal time to chill with the other kids. So when I saw him move to a table on the other side of the lunch counter, I purposely found a table as far away from there as I could. I sat down with Isaiah and Luca, even though I'd never met them before, and we talked about baseball the whole time. And I played basketball with them at recess. They became my lunch table from then on. I heard Summer had sat down with August, which surprised me because I knew for a fact she wasn't one of the kids that Tushman had talked to about being friends with Augie. So I knew she was doing it just to be nice, and that was pretty brave, I thought. So now here I am, sitting with Summer and August, and they were being totally nice to me as always. I filled them in about everything Charlotte had told me, except for the whole part about my having snapped under the pressure of being Augie's friend. Or the part about Julian's mom saying that Augie had special needs. Or the part about the school board. I guess all I really told them was how Julian had a holiday party and managed to turn the whole grade against me. It just feels so weird, I said. To not have the people, to have, sorry, it just feels so weird, I said, to not have people talking to you, pretending you don't even exist. Augie started smiling. You think? He said sarcastically. Welcome to my world. So I think we're going to stop there for right now. Just seeing the change, I think, is pretty amazing. From Jack Will in the beginning of this story, how he wouldn't even, like, sit with August, and then going from that to standing up for him, to getting punched, and now all the kids aren't even talking to him because of his friendship with August. He's grown a lot. And now he can even relate with how August feels, because, you know, a lot of people don't sit with August based on his face, and now people aren't sitting with Jack Will because he's associated with August. So hope you guys enjoyed reading these chapters. I love hearing your summaries, so can't wait to see what you write. See you next time.